one of the best pubs in Dennis now. Great selection of beers, really good food, always a great vibe.
Listen, that's enough about the Alexander Bar. What about Redmond?
I was actually talking about the Duke bar, but Redmond's is the place to be. I would say excellent selection, can't beat it.
The regulars have actually disappeared like heavy in the background. They were cool, those guys.
They're really nice, yeah.
Shout out to the Edinburgh boys that came through, but we're lucky enough to have Ollie, who's been looking after us in Redmond tonight. Why should people come to Redmond apart from this amazing sunset, Ollie?
Yeah, look at this.
It's just stunning.
There's loads of great beers. There's a Northern Monk on tap, Takeover at the moment. It's just a really good vibe. Music on vinyl, you'll love it.
It's real, Brighton said it, the heart and soul of the East End, good beer scene. So Ollie, listen, I know you're really busy tonight. Thank you so much for coming on. But before you go, is there any other places or any other pubs in Glasgow that you like?
Phillies, outside.
So I am very lucky tonight. We're at Redmond of Denniston up at the East End of Glasgow, and I'm actually very honoured to say we've got Matt here from Northern Monk. Matt, thank you very much for having a wee chat with us.
Not a problem, mate.
First things first, Neapolitan Stout. The troops want to know, have you got anything coming out similar to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's not necessarily my jam, but one thing I'll tell you is that when it comes to, you know, strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, pale stouts, there may be a flake and sauce incoming, which if you taste it, you'll kind of be like, it's almost like they made Neapolitan again, only in 2022 standards of Northern Monk, you know? We're growing a lot and we're evolving, so we're trying to apply all the stuff that we've learned over the years and obviously do an homage to that classic beer. The thing about a Patron series is obviously we deal with the full spectrum of beer. So we have, you know, very recipes written more like an entry level all the way up to the patrons, which are the, you know, money is no object, let's just make the best example of that style we can do. And with something like that, I love it because what we're doing is we're making a 4.8% DDH, but that rate of hops, the kind of quality of hops that we're using in them, you know, we're digging into our very large hop stash of, you know, some of the best of the best, and we're getting to really showcase how big you can make a 4.8, you know. I'll tell you how good it is. I had a Infinity Vortex and a Risotto Studio, and the guy I'm with, he had asked for the Risotto, I asked for the Infinity Vortex, or the Final Vortex, sorry. And what was funny was, they placed them the wrong way around, and we had a sip, and we actually had to take a second. And I'm like, that's not the right kind of characteristics. But the fact that I even had to consider it lets you know how hoppy we've made a 4.8% beer.
I thoroughly agree. I've had it tonight and it's an absolute stunner. I was going to ask you about the next one. I'm actually going to come straight into the Infinity Vortex.
Sorry, I spoiled it a little bit.
No, it's absolutely fine because it was like the end of a wee series for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. Honestly, it's the most hype beer we've ever made, and it's not just about hype. It is really, you know, that very first beer. It took what I understood New England's to beat to the next level. It was almost like a new chapter was started, and it really like set a precedent. We do 7 in every single one of our series, so that very first one meant that for the next 5 beers we had to keep hitting that top shelf mark, and it's been, you know, a labor of love. And then we obviously get to the 7th one. Historically, the 7th is the golden shiny edition. We go with what we've done historically, but we try and turn it up to 11, you know, Spinal Tap style. And with the Final Vortex, it was pretty nerve-wracking because we've got all, the first 6 under the way. The first one was obviously a game changer, but even like, you know, number 2, number 3, number 4, they were all amazing beers. And then when 7 landed, I got to finally taste it last night at a tap takeover for the first time, and my knees were shaking a little bit. And then I had that sip, and I was like, absolutely knocked it out of the park. You know, what a way to see the series out. And what's really good as well is that at the end of the day, we've held off doing that Final Vortex until we got to a place where the world had come back together a bit, and we could actually, you know, reach out to Equilibrium and other half and really genuinely collaborate again, get it to be what it needed to be. Yeah.
If you see that at the bottle shops or any pub strips, get that bought.
I think it's probably gone by the time this gets up.
Well, it probably will be, but I managed to get a couple of cans. Get in contact.
I went to the. I went into. We were over at the cool ship. We nipped across the road to say hi, and we nipped across the road.
And to Neil, we beer shop.
Yeah, so we went to see Neil, and literally as we went in there, a guy was buying the last can, and he was literally like, he's like, I was staring at it. I knew it was the last one. I had to have it because if I didn't, it was gone. And Neil's like, I got this case delivered yesterday, so that's where it's at.
Matt, there's probably something you don't know I'm going to share with you right now. Don't worry, I'm not putting you on the spot. You're right, but see your Northern Monk Pilsner, Citra Pilsner, you put out, there was, let's just say, a pastiche of the Tennent's Lager branding.
Intentionally, man.
The first customer that Neil got that day, and it wasn't me, because I never thought of this, was a guy that bought 2 copies of every single one of that Tennent's pastiche, Pilsner, Citra, and that was an absolute cracker. Is that going to be possibly rebrewed, or have you got another Pilsner you can maybe talk to us about?
I mean, the thing with that beer, I'll give you a little background on where that beer comes from. If you ask any brewery, it's always a little bit of an in-joke that if you actually ask the brewers, what do you want to brew? They don't want to brew New England IPAs, it's not what they grew up learning about. They want to brew lagers, they might want to be finicky and brew milds, that's their world. And there's a reason for it. The complexity, the lack of anything to hide behind it. It's a real flex of brewing ability to be able to put out a really good lager that's really, really clean. Now, with the lager that we did for the Tennents, that's actually a beer that we've made before, and because we don't get to brew a lot of lagers, because to be honest, they don't really sell in the same way as New England's and stuff do. But we brewed a beer way back. It was an adjunct Citra lager. It was originally called Very Stable Genius. It had the best can art ever. It was a picture of Krang from the Turtles, only Krang was Trump, and then the bodysuit around it, I don't know what it's called, that is got a Russian sickle on it. It was a lot of things going on. I loved it. And it was a Citra lager, adjunct style. So adjunct, we mean specifically in the style, it's got rice in it, same as what something like your Bud Lights and stuff are going to have. Makes it quite refreshing. It was 5%, it was full of Citra. We loved it, and everyone's wanted to revisit it since. So then we revisited it when we did Life, which was the Citra lager we did maybe a year later. And we're always looking for an excuse to do it again. And then the idea of the Tennents is something that a lot of people won't realize is that Russ, our founder, is actually part Scottish, and he actually had some of the original Tennent's cans sitting in his office up on the shelves, and I'd never seen them before. So I was asking him, he was telling me all about them, and obviously we've come a long way from the kind of imagery that they were putting forward, but we wanted to still do an homage to that kind of concept. And what better lager than the lager that we've loved so much, we've done twice before, and obviously now we've got the Braucon, we've got the big kit. It's okay, let's rebrew it on the big kit, which is, let's be honest, Braucon, it's German. It's built to make lagers. I mean, they get upset sometimes when they see the old contents that we put into some of the stuff, but let it do what it wants to do. And we wanted to put a brand behind it, and it was a dream where Russ finally got to bring this sort of brand concept back to life with obviously a 2022 flavor, but then also getting to brew the beer that we've loved a few times already. Everyone still remembers fondly. It's the middle of summer, let's get it done. And the brew team, they were buying cases of it when it was brewed. They knew this is your one chance to get this lager that's really unparalleled. And then it's probably not going to be seen again until we can work out a new excuse as to why we're going to just stop doing it. And every time it gets tweaked and we employ the things that we're getting a little better with. But I think the best part about this Tennents one is obviously it is the best example we've done so far.
Fantastic, and it was a definite celebration of individuality, which I loved as well. Talking of artwork, we are round about 200 yards away from a Smug 1 mural We do claim him as ourselves, but we know he's not from. He's Antipodean. They were some of your best cans of the last sort of 3-4 years. Any more plans to get involved in stuff like that?
So, with the thing with the Smug is, Smug was actually intended to be almost like a changing of hands. In a world where we didn't get hit with a pandemic, it would have been, Tank Petrol, who, amazing artist, amazing dude, huge beer fan, and we really wanted to. We knew that 7 will always be the last one. We knew it was coming. Obviously, we've delayed it to get it just right and timing wise, but we knew we needed to have the next series, the next like ridiculously hoppy, mega hazy, dense, high ABV New England style IPAs. We knew we needed to land that, and it's like, okay, who do we get involved? And it was like, we need another street artist. And Russ has a bit of a misspent youth as a bit of a street artist. So, he really appreciates the style. He keeps his I suppose his eye to the Instagram's probably like almost the edge of the ground. And he was a big fan, and it was like, if we can get this guy in, this would be amazing. And yeah, that's kind of how it sort of all came about. I saw the concept of the first couple, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And realizing that this is street art, when you see the intricate details, it's just mind-blowing.
It is indeed, and you can see all that artwork everywhere. On all good beer cities. The other one I want to touch on, lemon and lime, kind of lemon and lime Kolsch, which I believe has actually really complemented my food tonight that I got.
Yeah, so Kolsch's are really nice. They're kind of like almost a middle ground between a lager and a pale. They kind of fit in that middle ground world, and the lemon and lime, the idea really is like, how do you make something even more refreshing than a Kolsch? And the answer is, you start putting some citrus fruit in there. You start to be able to cut through a little bit more of the fats. You're talking about like obviously complements on food. You're starting to get that like acidity, that sourness, and it really can help play, especially when you're talking about pairing it with things that are quite spicy, which obviously being outside of Redmond's, the food has a good kick. I've just had a Wagyu burger that I'm going to be telling my grandchildren about when I'm older, I think.
That is quality in there, but last but not least, in terms of the tap takeover, you've got that 11% bad boy there, man.
Yeah, the stout, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. Like, the thing that I think we've always tried to be really good at everything, and the thing about the Imperial Stout world is that, look, we are guys that brewed that pastry style very early on. We embraced lactose with two open arms, but at the same time, we never want to be a brewery that's seen as they only brew pastry stouts, they only brew New England IPAs. We still do West Coast, we still do what I call like more of a true Russian Imperial style. It's just malts. It's just all malts, baby, and it shows how complex a character you can build without any adjuncts, and I love it for it.
So if you see any of these kegs kicking about trips, get yourself involved. Before I go, be rude for me not to mention this. You've done a wee bit of collaboration already with the legends up at Overtone. Any plans to do anything more up with the Scottish guys?
Man, look, honestly, Russ, who's found a really big part of the direction of the brewery. I mean, the guy's part Scottish. His family have a home that they all go up to in the Cairngorm. So it's a place, it's a country that's very close to his heart, and if we could do more beer up here, we definitely would. Obviously, from my own personal preference, there's some amazing breweries out there. I mean, obviously we're in Glasgow. Let's not beat around the bush. Like, we got to brew with Overtone, and for me that was a brewery that I discovered in lockdown, and were literally one of my top finds of the past couple of years. It really blew me away. I actually, last time I was here, I James, who's their head of sales, I had to go down and meet them and just see the site. And amazingly. He gave us a lot of beers, we spread them out throughout the brewery. Everyone was essentially fighting over those last few cans. And it's so good to see from, you know, such an amazing city that you've really got that representation on the, you know, the world scale when it comes to those sort of like high-end beers. I mean, for me, you know, if you, I don't get the decisions, but if I did, I mean, hey, Holy Goat, man, like Holy Goat. I love a wild ale, and I love it. I love there to be a bit of fun in there. I must have had nearly 40 of their beers, and they have not missed a mark once. If we can get in there, that's just my. But that's not a Monk opinion. That's just to me. You know, I at the end of the day, you know, I'm a beer nerd first and a Monk employee second.
And I will also say your colleague Martin is enjoying a big pint of Pint Juicy Tenants in there, and it's a perfectly good Pilsner beer as well. Do you know what I mean?
Hey man, look, when it comes to big lagers, I think it's as good as absolutely anything. I have a bit of history in Glasgow myself, and Tenants is one of those things where it reminds me of a lot of good times growing up.
Brilliant, fantastic. Listen, Martin, I think it's about time I bought you another tequila.
Thank you very much. You're going to have one with me this time.
I will do,
right?
but before I do that, can you get a message for the troops? And you want to just give me a big tannable for the troops?
Fucking tannable, boys.
So we are here with Callum, becoming a regular occurrence here, Callum.
All twice. It's been a fantastic night. I just love Redmond as a pub. It's just a really good pub. The staff in here are brilliant. It's never ever too busy. The beer's really good.
Evan, congratulations for taking in absolutely incredible staff takeover. I think everybody's really happy for. The beer's been great to put on a good spread, going from 4 ABV.